He was an abolitionist who bought many slaves in order to set them free, and he encouraged others to do so as well. He was an environmentalist. In addition, he advised his people not to destroy plants unless they are needed for food or shelter. And he also said, don't waste water, even if you live near a river. He was concerned about the welfare of animals and prohibited animal fights for sports. He also said, do not take any living object as a target. I mean, like for target practice. He encouraged his community to care for stray animals and warned the people against overloading their camels. And then finally, he ordered butchers to use a sharp knife and to swiftly cut the jugular vein during slaughter to minimize pain and suffering. He added that one animal should not be slaughtered in front of another. So not only was he concerned about their physical well-being, but also their animals' psychological well-being. He was a leader of his time and continues to be a leader until today. He was a diplomat who mended relations with warring tribes and unified the Arabian Peninsula. He was a commander-in-chief who defended Medina from several attacks despite great odds. He was also head of state. He dictated the Medina Constitution. You can look that up online. It's one of the earliest constitutions ever written. He was so renowned for his justice that even the Jews brought their suits to him to judge in accordance of their law. He was very well known as a fair and just leader and judge. His greatest achievements were that, first of all, he related the Quran and ensured its correct transcription as it was revealed to him. And, of course, he restored the religion of Abraham. He united the warring tribes of the Arabian Peninsula and brought peace to the region. He established a community that lived by the Quran, not an easy task in any age. He inspired generations of Muslims with his teachings and exemplary behavior, and he is quoted in thousands of prophetic traditions that are second in authority only to the Quran. As I mentioned, his name is mentioned in the Quran 4 times, whereas Jesus is mentioned, I think, 25 times, and Moses, maybe 120. It's a lot. Muhammad is mentioned 4 times, but very important mentionings. First of all, Muhammad is the messenger of God. Second, Muhammad is only a messenger. Other messengers have passed on before him. Third, Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, but he is the messenger of God and the last of the prophets. And then finally, the 4th time, as for those who believe, do righteous deeds, and believe in what has been sent down upon Muhammad, and it is the truth from their Lord, he will remove from them their misdeeds and amend their condition. So these are the 4 times that Muhammad is mentioned in the Quran. But not only that, Muhammad is also addressed by God in the Quran. For example, and we sent you as a messenger to instruct mankind. Okay? God was constantly telling him, you are a messenger, tell them this, do that. So these were orders also coming from God. Secondly, and truly, you stand on an exalted standard of character. Okay? Third, you have indeed, the messenger of God, a good example of conduct for anyone whose hope is in God and the final day. And a couple more examples. O Prophet, indeed we have sent you as a witness, a bringer of good tidings, a warner, one who invites to God by his permission, and an illuminating lamp. So give good tidings to the believers that they will have from God great favor. And then also Muhammad is addressed in the Quran with the command, say, as an instruction for responding to the people. For example, there are several verses that start with, they ask you about such and such, say, and then there's a reply. So Muhammad was also being instructed with the Quran exactly the way we are instructed with the Quran. Muhammad has very many eloquent sayings. They're usually very short and sweet. Some of them I will present to you. The best man among you is he who is kind to his wife and children. Of course, you know why. It's easy to be kind to everybody else, but when you come home, that's when your true self shows. So the one who is kind to his wife and children is the best. The best kind of charity is that given to a poor relative who is also hostile toward you. Don't forget him. This is the best kind of charity. Third, he is not a believer who has a square meal while his neighbor goes hungry. A lot of social responsibility in Prophet Muhammad's teachings. He said, love for others what you love for yourself. I think an idea that has been expressed by every single prophet who lived. He who is not kind to others will be denied God's mercy. So be kind, and kindness will be shown to you. And then finally, God is beautiful and loves beauty. So these are some of his sayings. There are many, hundreds and thousands you can find in specialized books of his sayings. Some biographers had some very nice things to say about him. In 1936, George Bernard Shaw said, I have studied him, this wonderful man, and in my opinion, far from being an antichrist, he must be called the savior of humanity. I believe that if a man like him were to assume the dictatorship of the modern world, he would succeed in solving its problems in a way that would bring it much needed peace and happiness. Unfortunately, Muhammad is rarely recognized in Western textbooks or encyclopedias, if at all, if he is even mentioned at all. Another biographer in 1874, Bosworth Smith, said, he was Caesar and Pope in one, but he was Pope without Pope's pretensions, Caesar without the legions of Caesar, without a standing army, without a bodyguard, without a palace, without a fixed revenue. If ever any man had the right to say that he ruled by the right divine, it was Muhammad, for he had all the power without its instruments and without its supports. Michael Hart, who is a Jewish historian and who is the author of The 100, a ranking of the most influential persons in history, chose Muhammad as the most influential person in history. He said, my choice of Muhammad to lead the list of the world's most influential persons may be a surprise to some readers and may be questioned by others, but he was the only man in history who was supremely successful on both the religious and secular levels. So I think, yep, we're right on time. I'll just give a quick summary. As a child, he was an orphan, a foster child, and a shepherd. As a teen, he did community service. As an adult, he was a successful businessman, a faithful family man, and active in civil rights and welfare. As a prophet, he led a simple life and demonstrated practically the teachings of the Quran. For Muslims, he is the single most important role model whose sayings are second in authority only to the Quran. So next we're going to show the documentary produced by PBS, the Public Broadcasting System, entitled Muhammad, Legacy of a Prophet. I've also added my email address. If anyone would like a copy of this presentation, I'd be happy to send it to you. You can send me an email. I will click reply and attach the presentation. And also I've put the website of my new blog, which is only a couple of weeks old, but you're invited to have a look and join me with any comments or questions.